Hello everybody, my name is Chase. I'm also known as the Magic Ninja, and I have decided to start a podcast. So this is the first one I'm going to do. It's going to be a NNL Finals prediction show. This is for the Season 5 Finals, and I got 4 different guests. Well, 5, one is a joint interview, but I got 4 to 5 different guests, and I'm going to have a little bit of editing issues here and there, but it's going to get better over time, so just bear with me for now. I know in one of them, air conditioning turned on, and I don't know how to edit that out. And some of the audio isn't as good as the other audio, so I am sorry for that in advance. I know that I need to fix it, and I'm trying to. I'm just very new to editing audio and all this kind of stuff. But we're going to be going over some of the people to look out for in the youth divisions, some people to look out for in the adult divisions, and just who we think our podium's going to be. And then at the very end, I'm going to tell you guys who I think my podium is. Alright guys, so we are going to be talking to our first guest. Let's welcome Blake Harrison to the podcast. Blake, thank you for joining.
Of course, always.
So you're actually in the young adult division. So when talking about like some of the youth that are going to be coming into this event, who are some people to look out for?
Well, I mean, I have the standings pulled up in front of me for the males to start. And of course, they're the people at the top. There's like Aiden and Josiah and Jay. But I wanted to go down a little bit to first one. Okay, it's actually down to 8. But it's Alex Kuzic, or Alec. I don't know. I call him Alec, but his name's Alexander Kuzic. And although he's still ranked 8, all the top guys have done at least 10 comps, and he's done 8. And he's crushed all of them, podiuming in everyone except for Icor. So I feel like he's a name that goes under the radar because I don't think he's been on the NW Junior. In the past, he hasn't always crushed comps at the level that he is this season. And he hasn't really been the same name value competing against adults that the guys above him have. So I feel like Alec is definitely one to watch out for to start.
Yeah, are there any other people that you think could go the distance and podium, maybe against some of these top guys like Josiah or Aiden or Jay?
So I'm kind of going down the list because like Vance is all the way down there because he hasn't done many comps, and Vance, of course, can always do that. But I'm trying to look because there are a few that I feel like could have the competition, like that one competition. Evan McNeil is another one. I think that's who I'm talking about. Yeah, because he's from Fatality, and he's on par in my opinion with kids like Jay and Godbout and Ethan and all those other top ninjas. The problem is he just doesn't compete enough. So he's all the way down the standings, tied for 70th right now with 18 points. But he's definitely someone else to watch out for in Worlds.
Yeah, and are there any female, like young adults or teens that you think people should be on the lookout for?
Let me click over there. Well, again, of course, I'm really good friends with Rachel Beth, and she's like miles ahead of the competition. And I honestly think if I had to pick one, she would be one of the favorites to win the whole young adult female division. Just because I don't know if you've seen her compete. She has 112 points in 12 competitions. Second place has 72. Just think about that. It's not even like last year with you when you were doing like 10 more comps than everyone else and were like 20 points ahead. She's 3 more comps and 40 points ahead of them. It's not even close. So, of course, Rachel Beth. But then the other person who I would say is Katie, but she's not going to Worlds.
Yeah.
But Peace as well. I haven't actually trained with Peace in a little while, but I think we all know what she's capable of after seeing NW Junior and seeing her compete at Worlds and training with her. She, in the past, done some stuff that I haven't seen Jay do, which says a lot. Because Jay's out here, he qualified for the UNX Major, which is insane. So, if Peace can do what I know she's capable of, she can do really well as well.
Yeah, and then going into the adults, who are some big names that you're looking at to do well that maybe aren't like known for the show? Like not someone like a Drew or a Joe or an Adam, but someone that's lesser known.
Well, first off, no pressure, but the number 2 kid, his name's Chase Brown. I don't know if you know who he is, but
Yeah, I've heard of him. He's
He's one of the
overrated.
top. He's one of the top adults, in my opinion. But
Okay.
of course, you were at the UNX, right?
Yeah.
So I think we can both agree that Adam Latz, he won UNX, RLNA Stanford. He's definitely someone I feel like to watch out for that not everyone will know. I mean, he
Mm.
beat Thomas Stillings, he beat Judas, beat
He beat
you.
Joe.
He beat everyone. And again, he's not a name that I feel like everyone knows. And then my other big guy is, if you're not from the Northeast, you might not know him, Connor Claffey. The one comp that I saw him at this year, action, he didn't do that well at, but I feel like he's someone else to watch out for. He crushes obstacles left and right. It's the same thing with Keenan. I feel like these Northeast guys that are like locally really well known and competitive, but not like nationally, I feel like are the guys you should really watch out for because they don't have that national pressure to live up to.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of different ninjas like that are locally well known that maybe people outside of that region don't know. Because I've been in a few different regions like Midwest and New England, and like Midwest, everyone knows who the top guys are, but no one outside of that has ever heard of them. You know, and same with New England area, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the South and the West and out in Denver and those places.
The last guy I want to name for the adults is you know him and I do as well, Brett Strong. He's from down south, but he just like you, he travels around everywhere. Not as much as you do, but decent amount. He just has his issue is that he has a tendency to overthink stuff. But at his best, he's doing stuff that I haven't seen anyone his size and weight and stuff do ever, except maybe Drew.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like if Brett has a good day or good weekend, he is someone to watch out for.
Yeah, and then the same thing for like the females. Are there any women that you're looking at to do really well? You know, maybe upset like the Barclays and the Flexes of the competition.
So not Rachel. We'll just ignore Rachel for now. There, I mean, of course, I have to go with Jane. You met Jane before, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's been. Have you?
Yeah.
Greenbone? Yeah. She's been competing in the adult division as long as Rachel Brown is. And I honestly, even though she hasn't improved at the same rate as some of the other women on top, she's still one of the top females, I think, out there. She crushes everything that I've seen thrown in her way, which is just, it's crazy to me how people can be that strong and, like, I feel like I'm nowhere on that level. But I honestly don't really know too many females outside of the top females in the female adult, but like you could follow some of the people farther down who don't do the comps, and I feel like they could have a really good day. I feel like the female division isn't as stacked and top heavy, even though people might not necessarily know the names farther down as like some of the other divisions.
Yeah, and then you've talked a lot about like doing different competitions. Do you think doing more competitions helps out and gives you an advantage? You know, like maybe being higher in point standings. You know, like someone like me and Judas have both done over 20 competitions, but then there's someone like Soderman that's maybe only done like 3 comps, but probably won all of them.
Yeah. So I feel like one of the big issues with, and it's not necessarily the case for like you, but doing 20 comps, 21 comps like you and Judas could burn you out, and it also puts the pressure of running second to last, third to last, whatever, because everyone watches the adults. Everyone. Because there's a million times more. So when you get down to the end like that, it's a lot more pressure. It's a lot more, this guy's gonna do good. I know it. I've seen him compete. He's top of the leaderboard. He has to do good. But if you're running, I don't know, 20th to last, 30th to last, it puts you in, and no matter the division, it takes that pressure off, but it still gives you the experience because you've earned the points by going to enough competitions and doing well to get yourself in that position, and it gives you the ability to watch these people in front of you still go, but it doesn't have that added pressure of everyone knows that you're supposed to crush it and you're supposed to be the top guy out there.
Yeah, and then last thing, I know you're feeling a little bit sick, so I'll make it a little bit easier for you. But who do you think is going to be the podium for the guys and girls for the adult division, if you had to pick?
Well, I don't want to put in order, because putting in order, like first, second, third, is so hard with the amount of top talent there really is. But if I had to pick, I would definitely go, one of them is Nolan LaJoie from Laid Back. Last year he won Young Adults. He demolished the course. He made stage 3, I think, right?
He made stage 2. But he made deep in it.
Oh, I don't know why I thought he made stage 3. No,
he got 4th overall out of like 530 some in Young Adults, and Masters.
It's insane to me. And that was last year, and he's like 10 times stronger this year. It's like the difference. So definitely him. Then there are a few I could pick between. I could definitely see you doing well. Judas is the one person I like bust every time because he gets overconfident and arrogant. But Nolan definitely. Lucas, I think, is another big pick to do well. I don't think I've seen a comp where Lucas has done poorly. I honestly can't think of a comp in my 4.5 years in Ninja that Lucas has done poorly at.
And this is Lucas Real, right?
Yeah. Right. Not Luke Dillon. But I gotta be honest, if I'm picking one more person, I honestly think Dave Kavanaugh. Oh, no, English. I honestly think that, again, if he has a day where he's performing up to his talent, he's one of the best ninjas out there. Like, I feel bad saying that I'm not a big fan of Adam. It might just be my Adam Rail. Might just be my personal experience with him. But I feel like, especially after last year, he's gonna come close, but I feel like he's just not gonna have a speed to him that some of these other guys might. Maybe it's just because I think he's a bigger ninja. Maybe it's just personal experience. But I feel like the guys I listed as my top 3 for podiuming will have a speed to what I think will be a quicker course than last year's World.
Yeah, so if you had to pick one of them, who do you think is going to win?
That's really hard out of Nolan, Lucas, and Dave. I honestly think I'd put my money on Lucas just because I've never seen him do poorly anywhere. Whether that's watching live streams or in person. I've never seen him, like, struggle, to be quite honest with you. And the only other ninja that I've never seen struggle is Drew. So, that if, like, it's Lucas and Drew in a class of their own, I honestly don't think there's many people that can compete with that. Because even a bad day is a good day for Lucas.
Yeah, and then if you had to do the top 3 for the women, who would you name?
Well, it might be a little biased, but Rachel is definitely on there. Again, kind of like Judas. She's crazy humble, but not Judas, Lucas. I can't speak, but Rachel, kind of like Lucas. I don't think I've ever seen do poorly at a comp this year. She's podiumed every single comp she's done. And unlike the younger female divisions, there's competition for the women at every single competition. You're not guaranteed to podium. You're not guaranteed to get like 7, 8, 9, 10 points at competition. You have to earn it. So the fact that she's gotten 10 points at every comp except for 2, which she got a 2nd and a 3rd, she's done 11 comps, is insane to me. And of course I have to go with Nikki Perella as well. She's had a few rough comps this year, but in 18 comps, 2 where she hasn't gotten below 4th is impressive, and she's a point leader. So I could definitely go with Rachel and Nikki. And then I kind of want to go with what sounds like a little bit of forgetting the word. Like,
cliche?
Whatever. No, it's just like, odd choice maybe, but okay. Taylor Johnson. I've personally trained with her and known her for a few years now, and no matter what people want to say about who the top women are, I will always throw Deej's name out there. I think she's just dominant. She's amazing for her size. She's like 4'11", and she's crazy strong. So I think last year she got 4th, I want to say, for the women. And I think she'll definitely improve on that this year, which there's not much to improve on. So I think Teej will podium.
Yeah, well, who do you think is going to win? Same question.
Even though Rachel is really humble, every time I talk to her, I'm like, bro, you're insane. And she's like, no, you suck. I think Rachel is going to definitely have a great weekend down in North Carolina. Absolutely crush it and come out on top.
All right, well, thank you, Blake, for joining us. Some really good insight for our first guest. So thank you again for joining us. Where can people find you?
If you want to follow me on Instagram, it should be bpug621_. I think I'm like 99% certain of that.
All right, so we are here with our second guest, Emilie Thibodeau. Emilie, welcome.
Thank you.
And you're actually in the young adult division, right?
Correct.
So who are some of the best, not just young adult, but youth competitors to look at that people might not expect to do well?
Well, I mean, I think all the ninjas are great. Everyone has different specialties and things, but I think everyone should look out for Caden Lepsack. He's a super awesome competitor, and he's been crushing the UNX courses. I also think Jonathan Godbout, Elijah Browning, all of those guys, even though they're young, they're still very competitive, and they're going to do really great.
Yeah. Are there any kind of women that you're looking out for that you think are going to do really well?
I definitely know that Maggie Owen is going to do really well. She's been training really, really hard, and she's a really great competitor. Another one could be Olivia, and all of the girls that competed on A&W Junior. They're all super great competitors, and even the ones that didn't compete on A&W Junior.
Do you think that going into youth division, having that experience being on junior is kind of a step up and kind of helps out a lot as a big advantage for the youth divisions?
I think it helps more with the nerves, too, because being on television, being over water, you really have to, take that in and, it's really nerve-wracking. So then when you get to, the smaller course, where it's just people you know and stuff, it just makes it a lot easier to compete, and you know what you have to do to get through the course faster and stuff.
You don't have that, added feeling of pressure that you might,
Yeah.
comparatively.
When you compare it to junior, it's oh, okay, this isn't as bad, and it kind of, calms the nerves a little bit. It's not as nerve-wracking.
Yeah, and then for the adult division, obviously you have a lot of the big names. Everybody knows Drew. But who are some of the kind of local people that you're going to be looking out for that you think could easily podium or just as good as the pros?
Well, Chase, I think you could definitely place up there.
Thank you.
You've been working super hard, and you've been crushing the competitions. At Grips the past weekend, you crushed that course and got through it pretty fast. Good technique.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that you're looking at?
I have some people in mind, but I'm not very familiar with the adults that are competing. So I feel like when we get there, maybe we'll see how stage 1 goes, and then we can kind of determine who's going to be up on the podium.
Yeah, and then same thing for kind of the women competing. Are there some people that you think outside of the Barclays and Jessie Graffs and Flexes that you think are just going to really amaze people that you're oh, I don't know who that is, but now I do?
Well, I think there's definitely some women out there that they might not go to a lot of competitions, but they're definitely strong competitors. Yet again, I'm not very familiar with a lot of them, but I'm sure that they are going to do great.
Yeah, and then, so for young adult division, I know it's almost impossible to actually guess a podium correctly, but if you had to kind of pick a top 3, who would be your top 3 men and women for the young adults?
Young adults, I would put Vance Walker definitely up there. He's super strong. Josiah.
Yeah, Josiah's been crushing at UNX's.
Yeah. And then I would put Jay Lewis.
Yeah, recently got that golden ticket too. Him and Vance.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the women, who would you put on that podium?
I would put Maggie Owen up there. I would put Sophia Lavelli.
Yep.
And I'd probably put Olivia up there from MLab.
Yeah, MLab California, right?
Yep.
Who also got a golden ticket with Maggie Owen.
Yeah.
What?
So did Sophia Lavelli.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's so many to keep track of for golden tickets. I don't know who all got them.
Yeah.
And then who would be your podium for the adult divisions? And you can include the big names.
Can't? Okay.
You can.
Oh, I can. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would definitely put Adam Rell up there. Also, Kayla Bergstrom and Ethan Swanson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swanson's getting a lot of prep with not just doing UNX courses, but running it as a league, kind of making his own courses, running insane courses, because they're all like actually really hard, you know?
Yeah. And I feel like making courses is a little bit helpful with training because you know, like, all right, what do you need to do to get through this? What's the best technique? And, like, that can help him with the stage 1 course because it's definitely going to be some kind of speed course.
Yeah, I think, too, like, one of the things with all three that you brought up, they're all very good technical ninjas.
Yes.
You know, like, they don't brute strength their way through stuff. They look at it in the most technical sense possible. I mean, even someone like an Adam Rail that you might think just has power, but he's incredibly, like, efficient and technical in his movements, I feel.
Yes.
And then, who would you put for top 3 women?
I would put Barclay Stockett, Jessie LeBrec, Michelle Workey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good old MLab runner, my coach.
Yep.
Yeah, well, are there any finishing thoughts that you would like to add in about just Worlds in general?
I feel like there's going to be some big surprises this year because last year it was a little disappointing that a lot of people fell in the first obstacle and stuff, but I feel like this year a lot of people have been training hard and they're going to make comebacks, and I feel like there's going to be some surprises. Like, I feel like some no names are going to be up on the podium this year.
Yeah, every year it happens. There's always one.
Yep.
Or at least always one that makes stage 3.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at princess_ninja24.
Well, I am here with my third guest, Mike Lewis. Mike, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, so first off, we're going to talk a little bit about the youth. And your brother was actually on A&W Junior, right? So you know a little bit about the youth.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had my fair share of interactions with a lot of the guys that are really at the top of the sport right now for their age group. So I know quite a bit about them.
Yeah, so who are some of the people that you think are kind of like those top names that maybe we should worry about next year in adults?
Well, for adults next year, I'm not sure age-wise, like who's moving up exactly. I can just speak for the young adults this year, though. Elephant out of the room, my brother, I think he's on another level right now. I've been seeing him train so hard, and he just qualified for the UNX major, and he's just completely biased, but he's looking like he could really perform insanely well at nationals.
Yeah, I know you're saying
people.
that there's some bias, but I've seen Jay compete, and Jay is an absolute
it's not
beast.
like I'm saying some random kid. It's like Jay's already made a name for himself in the community, and I can see him. He's very motivated to show it here at Worlds 2020.
Yeah, he's definitely like one of those top guys. Like, I know if he podiums and gets to move up to adults, I'm gonna be scared.
I would be. Some other names that I just go with, Aiden Wood is an absolute monster. He's been killing it like every NNL he's done this season. He's very consistent. He placed second place last year, I believe, at Worlds. So he's coming back trying to defend his podium spot, and I'm absolutely seeing him doing it. Other young adults, got to talk about the defending champ, Drew Becker, coming off of a first place victory last year at Worlds. He's looking to defend that title. It's going to be interesting because it's hard to predict how people are going to do because the course can be so, can play to certain people's strengths, you know?
Yeah.
So I can't really make permanent guesses on who I think is going to get top 3 purely because the course could be, include the biggest weakness for one of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But just pretending it's going to be a pretty, if we're basing it directly off just total skill, I would say those 3 are safe bet for top 3.
Are there any underdogs that maybe when people think of young adults, they don't necessarily associate with them?
I think at this point, a lot of the young adults have already really made a name for themselves because of A&W Junior. A lot of the guys, John Godbout, Nate Pardo, they've all already put their names out there as forces to be reckoned with and people that are going to be tough to beat at Worlds. So I don't know as many underdogs, but because purely I think A&W Junior did a phenomenal job their first season picking out truly the top contenders. So I think we've seen most of the top people, but there always could be a surprise or two in store.
Yeah, couldn't say it better myself. And then coming into the adults, obviously everyone knows the big names like Drew and Joe and Adam Rail and all those guys. But who are some of the top guys that maybe people haven't heard of?
Oh, if we're talking show-based, there are a bunch of people this year never been on the show, and they've been absolutely killing it. I'm speaking more specifically about Nolan and Luke from Laid Back. They've been dominating this year in adult, coming out of young adult last year, and Nolan, I believe, is second or third right now.
He's
would know,
third.
Chase, second or third.
I'm second.
Are you ahead of him?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's in third. Which is still, you too, Chase. We got 2 of the top 3 spots currently for points are under 18, or 18 or under. So
yeah, I think Luke is in that top 5 too, and he's also under
Luke
18.
is up there as well. I think that the youth are going to absolutely dominate. And we'll also see if Matt Bradley can get past stage 1. I could see him winning it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that youth is going to be a huge factor because the adults are starting to get nervous. You've seen it play out at UNX competitions where you've had so many youth competitors just flood the podium essentially. And I would not be surprised to see that trend continue at Worlds. So, from a show perspective, there are a lot of lesser-known guys just because they're not old enough.
Of the people that are old enough, because obviously we know the show is a reality show, so not every call is skill-based. You know, it's do you have a story and all this stuff. Are there people that are old enough that either have been on the show and haven't gotten all that love, or just haven't gotten a call back that you think could do really well as well?
I gotta look at Adam Burnett, because he's coming off, he was the only clear at the RLNA Stanford UNX. He was also the only clear of the Baltimore City Finals course last year. And that was done in testing, of course, so he wasn't shown. But he was the only person to clear it front to back whole weekend. So producers, I'm assuming, are taking note for this year, but for Worlds, he's coming in, and I think he could do really, really well. I would also put, he's not really he's a newbie, but he's very well known, Caleb Bergstrom. I forget the stat I saw. I think he's the only person to clear stage 1 each of the last 2 years.
Wow, really?
So, yeah, he's the only person who has cleared stage 1 in wherever it was. Where was it? Atlanta and Hartford. He's the only person to clear both of them. Shows consistency. And he's got a gym to train at. I think he's going to do very well. He got podium last year, right? Or top somewhere?
Yeah, he was one of 5 people.
Yeah. I know Matt Strollo could also have a really big showing because last year he got podium. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him back up there again. And he hasn't really gotten as much love in the show as he deserves.
Yeah, I fully agree. There's a lot of people that no one's ever heard of that has done well. Like, my example was always, like, Philip Scott and Connor Galvin,
Yeah.
who they first got their shot on the show this year, and now people have, like, seen what they're able to do.
Oh, yeah, no, Connor is also one of the names that I think is going to perform very well. Again, he's one of the guys I'm very close with, so I've seen him train. And, the people that we see train the most, we're automatically like, oh, well, they got to be the best because they're the best of who we see. But, I mean, I think that Connor legit he's a really good shot to win if he can get the consistency. Because at UNX, he struggled with that, being consistent and, like, being able to consistently put together good runs. So will he be able to put a good run together for stage 1, 2, and 3? That's what the question is.
You got to work finals last year. Was
Yeah.
there anything that you learned from, like, reffing and having to deal with one of the younger age groups and, like, the stress behind the scenes?
I mean, first off, I'll just lead off and say that the event was really well run. And everyone should be so appreciative of what Drew, April, DGS put into that event, because they legit devoted 6 months of their life into making this event. And even though some things didn't turn out the way that maybe you hope, hopefully it motivated everyone to train harder and get a winner, or get 2 people to stage, or tons of people to stage 3 and 2 to stage 4. But besides that, it was stressful. It's tough when you're 17 and, like, all the pressure is on you for calling a kid's biggest competition of the year. So many kids devote their life to this now. And having to have DQs or just call kids out consistently because the third obstacle's taking everyone out. The first obstacle's taking everyone out. It's tough. It's mentally, like, racking on the brain. So I really have the utmost respect for everybody that's reffing this year. And I'm going to probably make sure to thank each of them because I know how hard of a job it is and how sometimes it goes underappreciated because you get a call you don't like. It's natural for people to be like, wait, that doesn't make sense. Like, I want to review it. But you got to remember that the refs are human too. This is for any sport, really. And I've really, actually, since Nationals, I've been a lot more lenient when I'm watching games. It's like, oh, it's a bad call. I'm like, well, the ref's human. So I learned so much that weekend. But yeah, no, it's just such a fun experience. Like, I know I got a bunch of guys staying at the same hotel, which I'm excited for.
We're staying at the same hotel.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a great hotel. It's going to be the best one.
It's going to be
without
lit.
a doubt. All y'all at the Hampton or whatever, losers. Sheraton, four seasons where it's at. But it's, I don't know, I can't put into words how excited I am, because it's also been really tough for me at school. I've been away from the ninja community that I was so heavily involved in the past few years. And I've kind of been, like, isolated. I haven't been able to go to as many comps. I haven't been able to see a bunch of my friends from up in the Northeast as much. So I'm just excited to see everyone and just spend a whole weekend just having fun. And, man, it's just like how I'm looking forward to A&W and DC, just having everyone come out and relax. And I couldn't be more excited.
So we talked a lot about the guys doing ninja. Are there any underrated female ninjas that you think could really come out and take it all this year?
Well, we've seen the emergence of a lot of really strong female competitors through UNX. A lot in the youth. For the adults, I mean, I could see the podium being a little more clear cut. I think Abby Clark is going to be way up there. Lebrec. I mean, just the basic stuff. I don't know if Graf is competing, but if she is, she's obviously going to do very well. I think we are going to have a stage 1 female clear this year. 1 or 2. We haven't had one. I think we're going to have a stage 3 clear as well. But that's not by a female. Just in general, I think we're going to have a stage 3 clear.
Yeah.
But, like, other people, like, I really know Taylor Johnson very well. And she's just a firecracker. And I could see her really doing well at Worlds if she can get her mental game, like, where it needs to be. And I could see so many other people. It really is mental. But, I don't know, it's going to be a tough podium for every age group. There's no clear cut for any of the age groups that I really follow. There's no, like, okay, it's obviously going to be these 3. Not even close. I really think there's going to be some
tough competition, and I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, and then I know it's hard, and I don't think anyone can correctly, perfectly pick it.
Yeah,
What
you've
is
seen the
your
UNX
podium?
dashboards. Here's my podium prediction. We'll start with the women's. In third place, I'm gonna put Barclay. Not sure if she's going quite yet because of obviously her mother is having a very tough time right now. Not quite sure if she's going, but if she is, she's always gonna be up on that podium and have a real threat to win. So I think she's gonna place third place. Um, ooh, wait a minute. I might need to make some adjustments. I'm gonna have a tie for third place currently. How's that
Okay.
sound?
Okay, that works. That works.
It could be one or the other. Olivia Vivian, if she comes out. I'm not sure if she is, but if she does, she has proved that she can clear stage one, and that might be what it takes to get on the podium, just clearing stage one. So I gotta put her on it. Number 2, I got Jessie Flex Lebrec. Again, very consistent. She won last year, yes.
I think so. Yeah.
I kind of
Sounds
forget
right.
the podium from last year, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Jessie got second or first last year, so I could obviously see her up there again. First place, I gotta go with Abby Clark because she's looking like ridiculously strong right now. Just this past weekend, she was the second female ever to get first overall in NNL qualifier. She got first overall at Skylands Ninja Warrior in New Jersey, clearing 15 obstacles. First place men cleared 14. So I gotta go with her. She's UNX major qualified. She's killing it in NNL right now, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her take it home.
Yeah, sounds like a solid podium. What do you have for guys?
For guys, it's a little bit tougher, because there are obviously so many strong, and there's so many strong females too. But for guys, just the pool is bigger. So let's go with number 3. I'm gonna go with Matt Bradley, because I think that if he can get through stage 1, I truly think he could clear everything else. You know, like his grip is unbelievable, and I can truly see him like clearing all 3 stages if he can get into the grip intensive parts of the championship.
Can't he one-arm lock off a vertical limit?
Probably. If you've seen his barn, it's insane. It's got like it's the whole thing is to prep for stage 3 essentially. So if he gets to stage 3, he's at home. He's good. I'm not worried. But he's got to get there first, and he's had some issues with agility this year. I think if he can get through that though, see him getting on the podium. Number 2, I gotta go with Daniel Gill, because again, he's just what else can you say about him, you know? He's obviously one of the UNX guaranteed athletes. He got to the rope climb last year, did what very few Americans have done in clearing all 3 stages. I don't know quite what his like where he's at right now, like where in his training he's at, but I did see he got I think second place the other weekend in a UNAA, and he looked really strong at that. Only losing to Christian Youst, very strong youth ninja by a few seconds. So I'll put Gil there. Also with the experience, I think that he can get there. And for first place, I gotta go with Joe Moravsky because he's been on like he's so focused right now and so motivated. It's insane. Like I've talked to him recently, and he's just now that he has a gym in RLNA Stanford that he can train at every day. It's awesome because he has this opportunity that he never had in previous years. He has a chance to train in the gym every day, and which is where a lot of great ninjas gain their skills. So I really think Morocco's going to come out here with a purpose, and I think he can pull it out.
Yeah. Any last second sleeper picks in case somebody doesn't show up for whatever reason for either side?
I could name so many people that I think have a really good shot at podiuming/winning because it's so hard. So like, if anyone's listening and I didn't pick you for the podium, it's a hard job. It's hard because we still don't know the course. I think once we see the stage 1 course, I think the guesses will become a lot more accurate because we start to realize, all right, this plays to certain people's strengths. If stage 1 is fairly grip intensive and doesn't have much agility, like say last year's stage 1 where you had legit a grip obstacle in the monster swing, I think that's different than if you have an all agility stage 1, kind of like the first year M-Lab. I don't know if you've seen that stage 1, but it was very parkour based. So it really does depend on the course. And that's why it's hard to make predictions. But I think really I think it's anyone's to take, straight up. I think anyone could win this. And I wouldn't be surprised, as I said, we have a big young showing on the podium with the 18-year-olds showing out, Nolan, Luke, you, Bradley, just all of them being able to show out in absolute force and kick some, can I swear?
Yeah, sure.
Edit and kick some ass.
That one's fine.
No, don't worry, I'm not doing any words. And same with the females. Like, obviously, Rachel Brown is always up there in, like, the conversation for clearing horses and getting podium spots. She got second at season 2. So, there's so many people out there that could clear and they can do well. But there's so many factors to nationals. We saw last year that mental game was such a factor. Like, that was probably harder than the whole physical course, was being able to realize, like, okay, everyone's showing the monster swing, but that's okay, because I'm going to do it. It was so hard to do that last year. And that's what took out so many people, was just their mental state. So, I don't know. It's hard, but I'm going to stick with my picks, and hopefully they come true.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, Mike. Where can people find you?
People can find me at NinjaMike8 on Instagram. That's pretty much all I use. Also, feel free to go follow Terp Ninjas on Instagram. We're trying to start a Ninja Warrior Club at the University of Maryland. So feel free to go check it out. I think it's Terp_Ninjas. We don't post much on there, but I want to start posting. Well, 2 people repping at Nationals, Air Worlds. Got some sick shirts to show off, so it's going to be fun, and I couldn't be more excited.
So, I'm joined by my final set of guests, Sophia Oster and jessethewildman. Thank you for joining me and doing the podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Thanks for having us.
So, we talked a little bit before about some of the youth competitors, and while you guys are coaches and don't know as much about the youth, you said there was one person that stuck out for you guys?
Yeah, I think Nathaniel Hanfu from Adrenaline Monkey will do really well. He did really well on NW Junior, and I think he could also do really well at finals. You can't say how he did on Junior because it hasn't aired yet, but he put out a pretty good show there, and I feel as long as there's no silly mistakes, I think he'll do really well at finals too.
And which age group is he in for anyone looking?
I believe he's mature kids for the males.
Okay. And then...
Is that right? Or is he yeah.
And then going into the adults. Obviously, everyone knows the big names going into it, but who are some of the people that you think could do really well that most people may not have heard of or that might come out and surprise a lot of people?
I know Tegan won. She was on the podium last year, but I still feel like not very many people know about her. I think that she will do really well again, Ninja's so unpredictable, anyone can mess up anywhere, but I think that she's super fast and strong and fairly consistent, so I feel like she could definitely do well, especially on a stage 2 part of finals. And then, like Jesse and I kind of talked about earlier when we were thinking about it, the girls from the Jungle Gym, Kaylin Bergstrom and Ashley McConneville, they've both been training really hard, and I think that, this year, especially since we don't have swivel steps and stuff to mess people up, I think that they could both do really well. And then, you have the people that, you kind of are hoping will do well, Casey Rothschild and Abby Clark. I think that they're both super consistent and train really hard for it, and they take it very seriously, so I think, they will also do very well. But it's, so hard to know who's going to come out on top, Yeah,
and then for guys, are there any guys that you're looking at to kind of come out and maybe podium next to a Moravsky or Adam Rail?
Maybe I'm biased, but I think Isaac Blackburn from MLab could do really well. I think, again, silly mistakes happen, but he's pretty fast and pretty consistent. And then also Michael Bauer has been doing really, really well. I think almost all the comps that I've gone to this season that he's been at, he's won against a lot of other really great guys. So I think they could both do super great. Do you have any others, Jesse?
Well, I mean, I was about to say Michael Boyer because he's won 3 NNLs in a row, and I think he looks really smooth. At the comp I just hosted, I mean, he beat out Ethan Swanson and Chris DeGangi and a couple other guys as far as speed. I know stage 1, typically speed is one of the most important things, speed and being in control while you're going fast. So I think he's hitting his stride at the right time going into finals. I think as far as a stage 2, 3 goes, I think it's kind of hard to pick some underdog people because I feel like a lot of the best people are going to shine. Guys like Adam Rail and Ethan Swanson are easy picks, but part of why it's easy is because they're so consistent and they're so strong.
But I do think on a stage 2 course, Philip Scott could do well because that's kind of his jam, is endurance. He did really well on the show last year, but he's still kind of unknown. I think he's someone that maybe not many people have heard of if you're not from the Midwest, but I think he could do well on a stage 2 as well.
Yeah, and I think maybe 1 or 2 other guys that are maybe a little more underrated. I feel like I'm a little biased because I've trained with him sometimes, but Ryan Sanders, I feel like his endurance and speed have been getting a lot better recently. He's been doing really well. And then Donovan Matoyer, I don't know how to pronounce his name, the classy ninja guy.
Yeah.
He's an animal. I feel like most people that have done a lot of comps have ended up meeting him, but he's not super active. It looks like he's only done maybe 3 NNLs, but the comps that he is going to and some of the moves that he throws, I feel like if he puts together a good run at finals, he could also make it really far.
Yeah, and then because you both compete a lot, I mean, Sophia, you're top 5 in points for women, and Jesse, you did a lot of comps before your wrist injury. Do you think doing a lot of competitions helps going into finals, or do you think it's better to do only a few like Mike and win 3 in a row?
So from my perspective, I think that doing a lot of the comps has just helped me to not get so nervous. So from that point of view, I think it has helped because, you're working on the competition mindset and how you're preparing and, how should I warm up and how fast do I want to go? What should I risk? What should I take slow? I think kind of those strategy things get better the more that you compete. But I think as far as just training and being stronger, I don't think you have to do a lot of competitions in order to be, prepared and ready. I know tons of people who, Michelle, our boss at MLab, she doesn't do very many competitions, but she trains really hard when she's getting ready for something big like the show. And she always does well, and she doesn't do lots of competitions outside of the show. So I don't think that doing a bunch is necessary, but I do think that it helps.
Yeah, and then same thing, a lot of people kind of come from the show. I mean, obviously everyone knows the big names from the show, and even some like Philip, who is, I think, more under the radar and more of an underdog like you guys do. He's also been on the show, and having been on the show for both of you last season and a couple other times, do you think that helps as well with it, or does that not really transfer over into NNL as much?
I don't think it really matters for NNL. Maybe the nervousness aspect, being able to be in front of all the people and still be able to perform well, maybe that side. But honestly, the obstacles themselves, as far as like the regular season comps are very different from the show. So like gym competitions, their obstacles are very different than what you would see on the show, just because most gyms don't have that type of space to be able to do like all those really big scale obstacles. So things are usually maybe a little bit smaller scale, maybe closer together, usually a lot more like linked things, so lots of like long endurance-y lines, whereas the show it's like lots of big laches, big power, I don't know, like longer, bigger, faster, whereas, I don't know, regular season I just think it's a very different feel. But as far as finals, I don't know, what do you think, Jesse? Does being on the show help for finals?
I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like competing in gyms and doing NNL and stuff helps prepare you more for the show, because like you can compete as often as you want and you can get on a pretty big stage. Like the crowds at finals are going to be bigger than the ones on the show. I feel like the show's not really as much in your control as far as like whether or not you get on the show is not really up to you. And then when you do it, you may only, even if you finish all 4 stages, you really only competed 3 or 4 separate total nights. So I feel like competing on the show can help you more for the bigger events outside of the show, just because you're getting more used to having the lights and stuff on you. But I don't think that it necessarily helps as much, just because you only do it 3 or 4 total nights out of an entire year, where like you could compete every single weekend if you wanted to in the leagues and stuff. So I think they both kind of help each other a little bit.
Yeah, and then finally, I know it is almost impossible to correctly predict this, but if you were to predict a podium for male and female for the adults, you can name whoever you want. Who do you think is going to be on that podium?
That's so hard. Here, Jesse, you go first. I don't want to go first.
All right. Okay, so I'm going. All right, so for the podium for the guys, I would say, in no particular order, like first.
No, you have to say the order. That's the whole point.
I mean, I feel like it's, again, like I don't know. I feel like it's easy to just say certain names but it's easy because they've proven it. So I feel like, honestly, I could see Adam Rail repeating as champ. And I could see Ethan Swanson and Jake Murray getting second and third. It's hard because I don't want to just pick the easy picks, but like those guys are consistent on the show. They're consistent when they compete outside of the show, whether it's speed or endurance. So I feel like those would probably be my top 3 for guys. I think the girls, the field's a little more open. I feel like some of the big names could do well. Like I feel like Jessie LeBrecq probably it would be my pick for first overall. But the second and third spots I think are a lot harder to pick between like girls like like Barclay will be there and stuff. But like I don't know. Do you know if Olivia Vivian is coming out?
I think she is. Yeah.
Because I feel like she could be a really good shot for a podium. And then, like we were saying, some of the more underrated people, like I could see Abby Clark or Ashley McConaughey sneaking in on the podium as a more underrated person coming in, because there's a lot of girls that are making the playing field a lot more level this season. So I don't know, what do you think, Sophia?
I think girls, it's really hard because there's so many. I mean, I think both it's really hard, but I think, like Jesse was saying, I think either Jessie LeBrecq or Olivia Vivian are both really good. Like, I think either of them could win. It just like depends. And then I think maybe even Tiana could get up there and
I don't know, I'm really confident in Abby Clark. I think she's really shown, like, she's super consistent, and I, like, see how she trains, and I feel like that's really consistent with how you would want to prepare yourself for the NNL, so I feel like she could do really well. So, yeah, I would say, like, Jessie LeBrecq, Olivia Vivian, Abby Clark, and, like, maybe one of the other more well-known girls, like maybe like Tiana or Gianna or Barclay or something like that, possibly, or Casey Rothschild. I think, like, those are all really good contenders for those top 3 spots. And then for guys...
Oh, do you know if Brittany Durant is signed up for finals?
I have no idea.
Because that would be one other one that, if she is going, it's like she's a lot more people are finding out who she is on the West Coast, but she just got called for LA for this season, and she's an animal. So yeah. I could definitely see her crushing out of nowhere too. So I think that both fields are stacked, but I feel like there's a lot of room for pushing at the top as far as the girls' side.
I think my picks for guys would be Drew's going, right?
Drew's not going, actually. He's going to coach, but he hasn't done an NNL this season.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So, but Adam is, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I would say Adam, because he's really good. And then I would say maybe... I would say Adam, and then maybe Joe Capo. He also trains with Abby Clark. And then, do you know if Joe Moravsky's going?
Moravsky is, yeah.
Yeah, and then I would say maybe Moravsky would be. I would say Adam, Joe.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. Where can people find you at?
On Instagram, I guess. I don't know. I'm not very popular. My handle is Sophia_toaster.
And my Instagram is at jessethewildman.
So finally, what are my thoughts? I think that there are a lot of good names that everyone threw out. I think every name thrown out is a serious competitor and has a shot at winning in their division. For the youth, I think one name that was forgotten and not really mentioned that much was Ali Merto. Ali is one of the best females in the young adult division, and she has been crushing it. And I think for the adult division, one of the names that no one really brought up that's really good, he's at Chicago. He trains with DeGangi and Flex and helps train Maggie Owen, who is on the show, is Cameron Baumgartner. Cam has not been doing this as long as everybody else. He's been doing it for a year and a half now, I think. I know the last Rockford event was his first ever event, and he is insane. He was on the show last year. He finished city qualifier course, and then city finals he got DQ'd on the balance obstacle just because he touched something wrong. But they weren't sure about it, so they didn't call him out then, and he actually got to keep running without knowing that he was DQ'd, and he finished the city finals course with one of the fastest times of the night. Unfortunately, he did get disqualified, but, I mean, he's been on the show for last year when he was eligible. He finished both city qualifiers and city finals his first time out here, and Cam is one of the most explosive ninjas and most powerful ninjas out there. And I think he is probably my biggest underdog pick going into it. So my podium for the guys, I always believe that there's one person that is kind of an underdog and then one big name. I feel like that is kind of a theme in every single podium. I think the winner is actually going to be Joe Moravsky. I agree with Mike. I think Joe has a new gym now. He's been training a ton, and he is just going beast mode recently. Second place, I'm going to put Cam in that spot. I think Cam has what it takes to win. He's very explosive, very good at stage 1 obstacles, but from what I know, he also has a lot of endurance and will do well on stages 2 and 3. And then third place, I'm going to go with Jake Murray. I actually got the honor of training with Jake for a week. He's a super nice dude. He's changed up his training from recently. He's been crushing it at UNX. He always does well at UNAA finals. I believe he's podiumed in NNL Season 3. I might be wrong about that, but I think he podiumed that season. And I think Jake is one of those guys where he's either going out stage 1 or he's podiuming. It just depends on that run. And then for the women, my winner pick is Ashley McConville out of Jungle Gym. I think she's one of those people that's going to come out and surprise a lot of people that may not have heard of her. She hasn't gotten the spotlight or the airtime on the show or anything like that, but I think she's one of those people that is a complete badass on the course. Second, I'm going to go with Flex. Obviously, you guys know who Flex is. And then for my third pick, I'm actually going to go with Rachel Brown. I know a lot of people have been saying her name in the podcast and picking her, but I think Rachel is just going to destroy the course. Once again, thank you guys for watching this. If you want to see more podcasts, let me know. And let me know down below who you think is going to do really well at NNL Finals. Or if you're watching this after NNL Finals, let us know how wrong all of our predictions were, because I'm sure that we're not going to get it right at all. But thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to comment and subscribe and like the video if you did. And I will see you guys later.